I already went over some of the stuff that we saw from Miami offensively in this game against the Warriors, obviously with Duncan Robinson and other guys kind of standing out. But the defensive side of the ball deserves some praise a bit too. Just the reason of the adjustments that they made, and specifically with the 2-3 zone. It's something that we're used to now. If you're watching Miami Heat basketball, they continue to kind of throw it in the mix a little bit to kind of just surprise different teams with the 2-2-1 press, the pressure, then back into a 2-3 zone, specifically when you have some of your weaker defenders on the floor and just kind of you don't allow them to get picked on over and over. So it's a little bit of a twist. The issue is that when you're playing a team like the Warriors, that is just such like a generationally good shooting team, you don't know how you're supposed to go to the zone because just you can kind of beat it when you're just shooting at an elite level. But there's obviously ways to beat it, and we saw that last night. So I just want to show some of the things, specifically in the fourth quarter, but I'm going to show how they went to it with the second unit early in the game. Right now, with 9 minutes left in the second quarter, obviously you see Caleb and Gabe kind of pressuring in the 2-2-1 press. Now they back into the 2-3 zone, which is something we're just so used to seeing. They're so elite in that kind of range of just kind of pressuring. Something they're going to do is kind of match up man-wise in the zone at the top. You're going to see Gabe up here on Poole. It's not like the high school version of one on the elbow, the other one on the elbow, and you kind of just stand there. This is like almost like a 1-2-2, basically, like the way they're kind of moving around constantly. Like you're going to see a two variation of 3-2, 1-2-2. They just mix so many things in that you don't even know what's coming. So right here, obviously, Poole's trying to create something. Ends up in a swing. Duncan and Caleb kind of fly at the same guy. Bam's kind of covering everything up. Now Duncan can recover. It's just a bunch of recovering. Now Caleb gets in the air. One more swing. There's Duncan. But this kind of, now he gets a paint touch, and now it's kind of an easy corner three. Look where Caleb Martin is on this play. Like this is a praise of the zone, but it's also a praise of Caleb Martin on this play. I'm going to go back and show where Caleb Martin gets up off his feet, goes up, finds the corner, and kind of throws this shot off the mark and ends up going out of bounds. That's just what makes the zone good. When you have elite communication, movement, rotations, all that stuff, that's what makes it great. Because early in the season, I don't think they could have gone to it this much because I don't think the communication and rotations were there. Now they seem like they're coming together over time. A couple possessions later, similarly, Duncan and Caleb kind of closing in. There's communication, Bam covering up backside. But going back to the weak side, as I go back and show it a little bit more, you can just see how this is what they're going to do. A team that loves to just kind of move, pass, cut, screen. You kind of close off these passing gaps when you're able to kind of just sit on it. Like you're not moving around. You're basically just sitting in your zone. That's what this is. So you can't make passes like this, even when it's Max Strus. He can kind of get his hand on it, goes out of bounds, kind of changes some of the offense for the Warriors. Now heading over to the fourth quarter, similar lineups. You're going to it with Max and Duncan on the floor, kind of just limits the picking on aspect of this. And you have Gabe and Max at the top of this. And the interesting thing is you're going to see Kyle right here. This isn't Kyle just running, and this isn't a still picture. This is where he's sitting in his zone because this is where he's best at. He's not great at the point of attack at this point in his career. He's good at fronting bigger guys and kind of making them uncomfortable with slower pace, lengthier guys. So you're going to see right here, it's going to swing. Kyle's just kind of just hedging down. He knows Bam can recover. If they throw it over the top, Bam's going to be there and they can rotate around. So he's kind of just waiting on that, sitting on it. You're going to see Max and Gabe kind of sitting on it as well at the top. But this is exactly what the Heat want. As I go back a little more, you're going to look at the top of the key, watch them just play hot potato right here on the top of the key in the wing. This is the shot that the Heat want. It's Jordan Poole. Yes, he can hit those shots. They'll live with that if it happens because that is just that's settling for a Warriors offense that usually doesn't settle. Another possession, you're going to see another variation. As I said before, it's like now it's like a 1-3-1. Like they just sit in all these different areas because they basically want to set up in kind of matching up with their man inside the zone because they just don't want to leave anybody wide open and they can bet on the rotations. As I said, right now, it's just swinging around the top. Jordan Poole from the logo, he misses. They're settling because of this type of offense that they're just seeing against this 2-3 zone. Now I go a little bit further. Now there's 4.5 minutes left. Once again, Jordan Poole at the top of it. I mean, just kind of sitting on it. Jimmy Butler now is in the game, which is a little bit different of a look, but I think it's interesting watching Jimmy at the top of the zone yesterday. A lot of times we see him on the bottom box of a 2-3. Yesterday we saw a lot of him at the top, and we know what he can do at the point of attack and not having to worry about backside help because he has Bam behind him. Like that's why this could work, specifically end of game. So right here now Poole's trying to make a play on Jimmy, swings it, gets inside. This is a very good play by Duncan. We talked about Duncan earlier, but he does very good in the zone because he's very good off ball defensively. Like yes, we talk about him being not being a plus defender. But when he's able to kind of sit on things like this and watch him help and then fly out to the corner, he shows, he goes, he makes a great contest, He misses. That's just a great play by Duncan. It's just a great showcase of what this zone is forcing. Another one. Steph now is in the game, swings it. Duncan kind of swinging back to that corner, back around. Something interesting as well is that they're going to try to flash middle because that's what you're going to want to do against the zone. But they know Draymond is not going to be a scoring threat, so they're going to dip off right here because he's just trying to play make. Now Wiggins tries to cut and make a play, and it just kind of goes, obviously it goes all over the place, and it goes a little bit south. Another one on an inbound. Inside the play, Clay is going to be right here, try to cut back door. Bam gets his hands on it. It goes the other way. There's a similar theme here. I know a lot of this is just a lot of rambling of plays, but there's a theme of that when this team is communicating, when they're moving, and when they're rotating at this level, they can mess up a lot of things for opposing teams' offenses. Even though they lost PJ Tucker, we talked about them losing size. Yes, it's one game, but the zone specifically, when looking at that aspect of it, it can really change things up for teams. They can't go to it for long stretches because I think teams can adjust and figure it out. But when they spring it on people in a random game at a random time in a random quarter, that's when it can be most effective because this team is obviously very comfortable in that space.